You cannot be serious. Oh boy, the fourth period just dropped a bomb. This, of course, is Vancouver Canucks superstar Elias Pettersson. He is paid like a superstar, but does he play like one? That is up to your own interpretation. But the latest from David Pagnotta on the fourth period from yesterday's article. Pettersson still in play for Vancouver gives us a pretty intriguing update as to what could happen next with this player and his NHL future. Now, I find this absolutely hilarious, which is why we're going to be making this video here today. Elias Pettersson, of course, he is 27 years old, 6'2", 185, left-handed center winger, signed on till the end of 2032, making $11.6 million a year. Mr. 116, as we like to call him here in Vancouver. Petey has been on a pretty big tear the past little while. Look at all these games where he's actually scoring points and where he's actually scoring goals. In the past 10 games, he's got 5 goals and 1 assist, and in his past 5 games, he's got 3 goals. Never mind the assists going down. Nobody in Vancouver is scoring these days, so the fact that Pettersson is even getting some offense to go, that's pretty remarkable at this stage. He's got 28 points in 38 games, on pace for about 54 points in a 74-game campaign, which would be an improvement over the 45 points that he had last year. So much for $11.6 million, right? But that being said, we have Elias Pettersson conversations every few days because this is a guy who just does not live up to the contract, and he's playing for the worst team in the league right now. Nobody in Vancouver is getting any consistent offense, which is why when we look at where it is the fourth period's David Pagnotta links Pettersson to, it does give us some intriguing information as to what could go down. We spoke about this yesterday, but Elias Pettersson seems like the Vancouver Canucks are interested in exploring their options, not necessarily in trading him, but they're not going to dismiss any trade asks, I guess you can say, trade questions from other teams. And they also fully know that if Elias Pettersson gets sent over to a new squad, he likely will bounce back to a better version of himself. It doesn't seem like Pettersson is going to be able to be the best Pettersson in Vancouver anymore, just considering the status of the team, considering all the pressure, considering the media, considering the reputation. It's not a good fit anymore here. Which is why we scroll down in David Pagnotta's piece, and we read where it is Petey could go instead. The Canucks are open for business, and as the fourth period reported on Monday, trade talks have picked up again surrounding several players. Sherwood, Garland, DeBrusk, Kane, Bluger, they're all making the rounds, but it also appears the Canucks are open to trading Elias Pettersson. During Tuesday's edition of Insider Trading, Darren Dreger on TSN reported the Canucks are willing to talk with teams about Petey, but have not yet spoken with his agent about a trade. We know there's been a ton of speculation from the media perspective on Pettersson's future with the Canucks. That was more into the offseason, more last season than to this point. Dreger said, I can tell you that there has been no communication with the agent who represents Pettersson, Pat Brisson, that they would have to communicate directly with Pettersson's camp because he has the no-move clause. But the Vancouver Canucks are listening and will listen to interest in Pettersson despite believing that if he gets a change of scenery and a new start somewhere else, he is going to thrive in a new environment. The Detroit Red Wings, Buffalo Sabres, Chicago Blackhawks, Philadelphia Flyers, and LA Kings have been rumored to have interest in Pettersson in the past and could circle back on him between now and the March 6th deadline. The Canadiens and the Sharks are also in the market for a top 2 center, and they may also inquire. Now that is obviously a big deal. Detroit, Buffalo, Chicago, Philadelphia, LA, Montreal, San Jose, the number of teams interested in Petey grows by the minute. But oh my goodness, would it not be so gobsmackingly funny, hilarious, and ironic if Elias Pettersson, of all people, were to be traded to the Philadelphia Flyers? Like, oh my goodness, man. Rick Tocchet hated Elias Pettersson and the way that he plays. He wanted to reprogram the way Pettersson sees the game and how he approaches scenarios in the offensive zone. We are already seeing Rick Tocchet ruin another skilled European guy in Matvei Michkov, and a lot of the excuses that he is using to justify his treatment and the way that he plays this guy are the same things that he said about Petey. Oh, we want to change the way Michkov thinks the game. We want to change the way Pettersson thinks the game. Oh, Michkov has to learn these habits. He has to do all this stuff. Pettersson, you've got to put him to a routine. You've got to tell him do this, and you got to change the way that he thinks so he can do that. Don't capitalize on the kind of player that existed that was able to get 102 points in 80 games with Andrei Kuzmenko, a first-year NHL player, on his wing. Oh, no. You want this guy to play like Miller. You want him to go out there and start taking offensive shifts off and back-check lazily and start yelling at everybody, and you want him to bang the back of the net on Colin Delia when the guy's not able to leave his crease in time. You want Pettersson to play a hard game. And for the most part, Petey is fine defensively. I'd say he's actually pretty good at it. But the idea of Rick Tocchet coaching Pettersson one more time in Philadelphia is hilarious to me. That is not going to be of interest at all for Rick Tocchet as the head coach of the Philadelphia Flyers. Now, I say this. If it were up to Rick Tocchet, from the Vancouver Canucks perspective back in 2025, if it was up to Tocchet, then the Canucks would not have traded JT Miller. They would have traded Pettersson. Like, one of these guys had to go. It seemed like Quinn Hughes and management chose Petey instead of Miller. And Rick Tocchet, even though Miller is the kind of guy that Tocchet coaches perfectly and Tock seems to love, and Petey is really not, he had no choice in the matter. Like, the team traded away the guy that he liked more. What is his response to that? He has no response. He can't do anything about it. But if Philadelphia decides, hey, that Pettersson guy in Vancouver is interesting, he's a 100-point player, and he could be on the market. Like, if that happens again, and Pettersson finds himself in Philadelphia with Rick Tocchet as the guy, then I would be so intrigued as to seeing how Tocchet will handle all three of Zegras, Michkov, and Pettersson on the lineup. Zegras admittedly has been fine. He's been really good, honestly, compared to what we thought he would be like under Rick Tocchet. Maybe some other fans were more optimistic on Zegras bouncing back in the same way that Elias Pettersson could bounce back. Hey, change of scenery, new environment, less pressure, whatever. Like, the mental part of the game can definitely take a toll when you're a top-tier superstar or you're a heavily marketed superstar, like Pettersson and Zegras are and have been. But Matvei Michkov is going through the ringer in the worst Tocchet way possible. And so when I hear of all these teams going out there and proposing trades for Elias Pettersson, the Wings, the Sabres, the Hawks, the Flyers, the Kings, the Canadiens, and the Sharks, I kind of single in on Philadelphia, and I'm like, okay, well, if Pettersson goes to any of those other teams, I feel like he'd be fine. But if he goes to Philly, if he's under Rick Tocchet again, then my goodness gracious, that is not going to be a good combo. With that in mind, I want you to let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you feel about the idea of Elias Pettersson getting sent over to the Philadelphia Flyers to get coached by Rick Tocchet for the next however many years that this contract goes on for? Till 2032, folks! Thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this. Sign on. And bye.